So I told you the story of, or brought you the story of Chantifique, the local Brisbane choir that's in Amiens in France, singing in French. And Roz at Daly Hill says, thank you for educating us on the Bailey Bridge in Anzac Park. I knew what it was, but wondered why it was there. I was ignorant as well myself, Roz, so now we both know. Peter of Benarken. Peter, I spoke to my guest earlier on, who's part of the French singing choir, Chantifique. They're now in France, but you know more about this state's connections to Amiens. Tell me about it.
Well, first of all, I think George needs to be absolutely and totally congratulated for his passion. The Amiens gun in Canberra was captured by Queensland Sappers, which is the driving force behind George's efforts. There is a township in Queensland, Amiens, up at Stanthorpe, which has a very close connection. It also has a mini Bailey Bridge being built there, and it's a wonderful tourist attraction to visit. The Friendship Bridge in the Toowong Anzac Park was put there because, that Anzac Park is the very first ever established and named in the world, and it is close.
Really? I never knew that. Is that a fact?
Yep.
So the Toowong Park, the Anzac Park in Toowong is the first Anzac Park ever established.
It is indeed, and it's a very cheeky and funny reason it came into being, which I won't talk about now because I'd take up a whole hour. However, the Friendship Bridge in France, in Amiens, is a bridge that's going into their botanical garden. And serendipitously, the Friendship Bridge in the Toowong Anzac Park is very close to our botanical garden. So the whole thing is a beautiful entree and a tourist narrative for the Olympics as a by-the-by, let alone the fact that it's really celebrating such an important achievement back in World War I. And I don't know if you know it or not, but Anzac Day is the construct of Queensland, of the Queensland Day Committee. It was all driven by Canon Garland, who's buried in the Toowong Cemetery. And this year is the 100th anniversary of the first major national memorial to the Anzacs. And it was unveiled by the Governor-General on Anzac Day 1924.
I had no idea, Peter. I think we'd like to talk to you. We'll be doing a special broadcast on Anzac Day. I might try and see if we can speak to you again about some of the longer stories. Peter, thanks for your phone call.
Thank you so much.
Peter of Benarken. A group of singers from Brisbane are in Europe right now. And this week they're singing in Amiens in France in memory of the Australian soldiers who fought there. But they're singing in French. It's a lovely story. Michelle Endicott is a member of Chantifique. I asked Michelle to explain to me who Chantifique actually is.
Well, Chantifique is Brisbane's only French singing choir. We are supported by the Alliance Française de Brisbane, which is where we started. And we're just a group of Francophiles, people who love French culture and language, and we love to sing. So we've been coming together for 17 years now, I think, to sing in French.
How many people in the choir, Michelle Endicott?
Well, at the moment, I think there's about close to 40, but only 20 are going to France this time.
So this is an interesting story to me because Chantifique the choir performed here in Brisbane at the Anzac Bridge opening in 2022. If I didn't go to that, tell me what occurred.
Okay, well, in Anzac Park, Toowong in Brisbane on the 11th of the 11th, 22, there was a special ceremony for dedication of a Bailey Bridge in honour of the Royal Australian Army Engineers.
And you sang, or your choir sang there. What did you sing?
And we sang both anthems, and then we sang a range of wartime songs in English and French, things that were associated with World War I.
I believe it was very well received, Michelle Endicott.
Yes, it was. So Lieutenant Colonel George Hulse, OAM, who was the mastermind behind it, his baby, this Bridges of Friendship project, He said, congratulations to the choir. You really made a difference to this ceremony. We were glad to have you here. And I boldly said to him, how would you like the same choir to sing at the opening of the twin Bailey Bridge in Amiens, France in 2024? And he said, what a good idea. Let me just contact my people in Amiens. So next thing we know, we have an invitation from the mayor of the city of Amiens to come and take part in the special formal dedication ceremony that's to take place in the Jardin des Plantes next Wednesday, the 24th of April.
Explain to me what the Twin Bailey Bridge, I think you described. What
yes.
is that, please? I'm ignorant of what that is.
So one of the key things associated with Army engineers is Bailey bridges. Army engineers are always the first people into battle zones and last ones out, and they do all the, infrastructure work to keep everything running smoothly. So Lieutenant Colonel George Hulse thought, lots of other branches of the Army have got memorials of various kind, but the Australian Army engineers have never really been commemorated for their important role. So he conceived this project of having a bridge, a Bailey Bridge of the kind that was constructed frequently during World War I and beyond, and all future wars too, in Anzac Park, Toowong, and then having an identical one put up by the French Army in the north of France, where so many Australian Army engineers served and were wounded and lost their lives.
A bridge between two cultures as well.
So it's a bridge between two cultures. He's calling it the Bridge of Friendship Project. Yeah. Le Pont de l'Amitié.
And as a result of your singing here in Brisbane, you've been invited by the Mayor of Amiens to perform next week for their Anzac Day services.
Yes, it's not the actual Anzac Day services on the eve of Anzac Day, but it is a big official military event, and all the bigwigs will be there, I believe.
So tell me, so I think you're doing a number of performances now in the north of France after you contacted the Sir John Monash Centre in France.
Yes, that's right.
I've only done one story on that. So just remind us of what the Sir John Monash was, an Australian military commander who was very clever,
well-respected one. Yes.
Yeah, quite an interesting Australian story. But tell me,
he was responsible for big Australian victories and for a model of warfare that was followed by many other people thereafter. So the Sir John Monash Centre is a big new, since 2018, a museum at the Australian National Memorial at Villers-Bretonneux, where there was a big battle on Anzac Day in 1918. So Villers-Bretonneux is the site of the big dawn service that's televised in Australia.
Yes.
And at the Sir John Monash Centre, they have wonderful digital displays of World War I history, and they also have a performance area. So I just made a cold call to the director and asked if there would be any opportunity for a visiting Australian choir from Brisbane to perform there. And she said, we'd love to have you, especially as you can sing in both English and French. So we're doing a 1-hour formal concert at the Sir John Monash Centre on Saturday the 27th.
What are you going to sing, Michelle?
A range of things, lots of our favourite French songs, but also...
So what are your favourite French songs, just in case we know them?
Oh, okay, well, there's things like Le Temps des Cerises, Auprès de ma blonde, and then we are also going to sing various wartime songs and Australian folk songs. So we're going to be singing Waltzing Matilda and Give Me a Home Among the Gum Trees, as well as Pack Up Your Troubles in Your Old Kit Bag and It's a Long Way to Tipperary.
You know what, I'm thinking about that in a funny kind of way. Sadly, many Australians of younger years probably don't know those last 2 or 3 songs.
No, possibly not. No. And I guess there will be lots of Australians there present at our concert, people of all ages. So hopefully we'll help them become familiar with those songs. Our choir director, Narelle Todman, has already arrived in Paris. ready to lead the musical side of things for the week, and I'm leading the logistical side of things for the week.
So you're performing just with human voice or with musical instruments?
Yes, we've been able to borrow some musical instruments from a music school located in Amiens, and that music school has a choir of their own who's also going to perform with us in extension of the Franco-Australian friendship idea.
Okay.
So we'll be performing with them and using their instruments, not only at the combined performance, but also for our solo performances at the John Monash Centre and at the Cathedral of Amiens.
It's a big effort.
Yes, it is.
Why is it about sort of the whole Anzac Day environment that there are so many different Australians like yourself that even though World War I is barely in our memory, and I think all the World War I veterans have passed away now, Michelle, why does it have it? It has almost a deeper meaning to it. Why is that, Michelle Endicott?
Well, I think it's possibly because many people of my age, retirement age, still have memories of and connections with their grandparents and great uncles. So in my case, I have a grandfather who returned from World War I, having been buried alive in a field in France in an explosion, and then he was dug out and repatriated, and he came home to live a life as a wounded man and to meet me. So my life connected with his, and I've been investigating it and finding out all the places in northern France where he served. And it makes a special emotional connection with that part of the world. And we've got others in the choir. We've got about 12 or 13 who have World War I connections, immediate family, mostly grandfathers, but also one grandmother.
Right. Well, look, I hope it goes really well.
Thank you very much.
And the choir not only performs well, but is received well. And I hope it does build stronger connections or a bridge between France and Australia.
Australia, and to keep it going to another generation. Yes, that's our hope.
Michelle, thank you for telling me the story.
Oh, thank you, Steve, so much. Goodbye now.
Michelle Endicott, member of Chantifique.